Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Justin Wolf from Wolf Customs. And this last weekend, I spent some time hiking with a gentleman. And, this gentleman, he is more of a wood crafter versus hiker or anything along those lines. So he really had a limited idea of how it was that he was going to pack his pack, as well as how he was going to secure his backpack to him. And this is something that I thought, you know what, maybe we should do a video to kind of open this discussion. Basically is what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys exactly how I pack my personal backpack, and then is what I want you guys to do is give me some feedback. Maybe you see me doing something that is that there's a better way, and give me that feedback. But this is definitely going to help those that are just getting started, that they don't have an idea of how to pack their backpack and all that good stuff. So the first thing you need to figure out is what kind of backpack you are going to use. If you look behind me, I have literally a stack of different backpacks, and this isn't even all the backpacks that I have. These are just the ones that I typically use. And out of all these backpacks, truly the one that I use the most is the MOLLE 2 rucksack. Now, I choose the MOLLE 2 because it's enormous. I mean, this thing has, you can fit a freaking, a small child in this thing, and I'm not even exaggerating. The downside of this bag is they weigh approximately 8 pounds by themselves, which I am not under the philosophy of you have to be ultralight all the time. And I'm definitely not under the you get people that say, oh, you can't carry a 50-pound bag for X amount of miles. Horse shit. You people not understand what our military service men and women have to carry? And you're telling me that I can't carry a 50-pound bag for a couple miles? You need to exercise. Do I carry a 50-pound bag? No, of course not. So we've got our bag selected. Now, what is my sleeping arrangement going to be? What kind of shelter am I going to have? What temperatures is it? Well, right now there's snow on the ground and it's about 20 degrees outside, so obviously I'm going to need to pack warm. And camping or hiking or whatever it may be, I prefer to do it in the wintertime because it's more comfortable for me. I hate the heat. I hate it. I'm a big freaking baby when it comes to the heat. Everybody knows that. But when it comes to the cold weather, I don't find it as uncomfortable. I enjoy the cold. So my sleeping arrangement is going to be a sleeping bag. Now you'll notice that I keep all my sleeping bags uncompressed in garbage bags just like this. And I keep them in closets and everything else. So that way they're all fluffed up. You don't compress, the insulation. A lot of people have complaints on the, what's it called? The military sleep system. I love the military sleep system. The biggest problem is understanding how long that sleep system has been packaged and compressed before you bought it. And a lot of times they've been stored for years, compressed in their stuff sacks. And that basically is going to render them useless. It's going to compress that insulation. It's not going to want to spring back. So keep your bags fluffed out. This particular bag that I've got here is a Kelty 0-degree down sleeping bag. Very warm and extremely light, and you can pack this thing down to virtually nothing. Now, one of the things that I have learned from my good buddy Survive Without, Mr. Travis Henry, that actually does take long hikes is a different method for packing your your sleeping bag or whatever it is that you're wanting to use. A lot of people will stuff these into compression bags, cinch them up, put them in their bag. And that's exactly how I used to do it for a very long time. But let me show you something. We're going to pull this backpack out here. And if, let me remove my Snickers wrapper, get a sweet tooth when I go camping. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put this sleeping system down in the bottom because I don't need it. I don't need quick and easy access to this thing. So I'm going to put it down at the very bottom. But before I do that, I'm going to reach over and I'm going to grab my sleeping mat. This sleeping mat here is a Thermarest, and I have had this sleeping mat for a long time. In fact, I would venture to say that damn near every video you guys have ever watched me camp, I've used this particular mat. This is not a mat that's rated for cold weather like it is out there right now. I think it's only got an R value of about 2 or maybe 4, but it works. It works. You're going to have a little bit of a chill throughout the night, but it will do the job. Something that I am going to experiment with and have been experimenting with and have been very happy with so far is my wife got me a new mat for Christmas. And it's one of these, the Thermarest Z-Lite. Okay, it's solid. What do I like about this so far is I don't ever have to worry about putting a hole in my mat. I've been very fortunate that I've never put a hole in it yet, but I see it all the time. All the time. Just this last trip I went on, I think there was a gentleman that got a hole in his. Woke up on the ground. I don't want that to happen. Plus I want to boost the R rating of this. So I lay this on top or underneath my mat, you know, depending on how I want it, and it's going to boost my R rating. It's going to make me sleep warmer. So that's just something I've been kicking around. Also, this gives you instant access to being able to plant your ass on the wet ground, keep dry, and stay warm. I like it. And you don't got to worry about putting holes in it. So, this is what I'm going to do. What I do, a lot of people put their mats on the outside. This particular one, I will just fold just like this and put it on the inside. I may even double it over one more time. It just kind of depends. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that, not at the bottom of my pack, believe it or not. I'm actually going to put it towards the rear, back here to where it literally takes up maybe that much space on the very back of my pack. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sleeping bag, and I'm not going to put it in a compression bag. I'm just going to stuff it in here. But that fills up your whole bag, Justin. What the hell are you going to do? How are you going to get everything else in there? Well, here's where the magic starts to happen. This is the tricks. These are the tricks that we're learning. So what's the next thing that we need to put in here? Is it a hammock? Is it a tent? What is it that we're choosing to use? Well, I've definitely figured out that my hammock and my Silnai tarp are roughly the same size as this No Limits hiking tent. I'm also going to do a video on this. This is actually a really cool tent that I've really grown to really like. You don't have to use a tent. Use whatever you want. You guys see me sleep in debris shelters and tarps and everything else. Doesn't matter. If you want to use a tent, use a tent. Fact is, this is going to be something that I don't need right away neither. So I'm going to stuff this right down in here. Now watch what happens when I push on this. Since that is a down bag, it packs up to virtually nothing. So just barely putting a little bit of force on there pushes all that down to the very bottom. And now I still have an overabundance of room. All right, so now what else do we need to think about? Well, not a lot. That is our, in my opinion, if you're, never mind. It doesn't matter. In my thought process, the most important thing in your bag right now is your shelter. It's going to keep you warm. It's going to keep you dry. I do not pack with the philosophy that I'm going to have fire. I don't know if I'm going to have fire. There might be a torrential downpour outside. I may be in an area where my wood source is scarce. You guys have seen videos where had I relied on fire, it would have been a miserable night. I don't pack for it. I want to be warm if I don't have fire. Plain and simple. So that's what that's going to do for me. Now we can start filling in things. Generally speaking, you want your heavier items closer to your body and up at the top. Okay? So I'm going to keep that in mind when I pack the rest of this down. So now again, we need to understand what the weather's going to be like and also what kind of trip we're planning. Because that's going to dictate what your insulating items are going to be and how much of the insulation item that you're going to need. You know, you've got your wool and you've got all kinds of stuff. But if you're wanting to pack efficiently, something that I've definitely learned here lately is down packs like crazy. And there's going to be a lot of people, well, if you get it wet, it's going to be worthless. Yes, most of us know that, everybody. But a lot of companies are now actually individually treating their down feathers and everything else to make them less water absorbent. So you don't have to worry about that nearly as much as what you used to. Of course, you're still going to worry about it, or you need to worry about it. But something I need to tell you guys is you hear people talk about the insulation values, including myself. I've talked about this many times. The insulation values of wool or fleece whenever it's soaking wet. Understand that you're going to be cold no matter what. And you need to think about how not to be wet. Okay? No one goes out camping thinking to themselves, I'm going to fall in a damn lake today. Or I'm going to fall in a river today. But it happens. So as individuals with our own individual brains, we need to figure out our clothing for ourselves. We need to figure out how we're going to stay dry for ourselves. Basically, it turns into common knowledge. And if it's not common knowledge, it's just knowledge that we need to gain. I feel very confident that I can go outside right now and I'm not going to fall in a lake. And I'm not going to fall into a pond. This is going to stay dry. I know this because I've been doing this for a long time. Plain and simple. But this shit packs down. Very small. And let me tell you something. This coat just this down coat. And a lot of people are going to be thinking, well, since it's down, it's extremely expensive. Wrong. I'm a cheap individual, y'all. I live on a very, let's put it this way. I often say that I live on a mountain man budget, but I don't live in the mountains. There's a lot of truth to that. So when it comes to gear, I definitely look for the best bang for its buck. I got this this down coat at Costco for $30. Extremely warm. I also got a vest for $20. Both of these items, if you put both of these items on top of your base layer, which is your most important layer, like I've talked about in different videos, your base layer, you put this on top of your base layer, you don't need much more. This is very warm. And especially if, let's just say that you was to put some sort of an outer shell on this, whether it be Gore-Tex or whether it be a regular rain suit or whether it be a wool top or something along those lines, you put a shell on top of this and I'm already overheating. It's just the way it is. But what do you get you get a lot of insulation that you can put in your bag, and it's not going to take up a lot of room. Now I may need these items. You know, the temperature may drop, or I may stop, and I may need these items fast, or decently fast. So I'm going to put these in near the top. They don't have to be right on top, or they can. It's up to you. It's your bag. It's just a concept of how I pack it. And put them on top. Now, something I forgot with my sleeping bag and everything else is, what about a pillow? Well, let me show you something I've been kind of playing around with. Here is another down item. This is actually a down throw. Once again, you can find these at Costco for $20. This frickin' throw right here, boys and girls, will keep you far warmer. And if you think I'm full of it, I want you to try. This little throw will keep you warmer than this wool blanket. Again, I 100% understand the differences between wool and down. It's up to you to understand your basic needs. But I can pack this thing down. Let's just do it right quick. Where is my stuff sack? Never mind, can't find the stuff sack. It's not here. But anyway, I'll put this loose in here also. However, I bring the stuff sack with it. So then I'll stuff it up. It creates a big pillow. That's what I use. So now we put that in there. Good to go. But we need socks. So let's put a change of socks in there. Let's just put in our clothes that we may need, you know, at this point. Need extra socks. We may need a neck gaiter. We're going to need something to keep our head warm. And we're going to need some gloves, you know. Something simple. We may even want a change of clothing. Whatever it is that you decide, that's perfect. But remember, again, everything I have in here right now, I can compress and pack down really easy to make a whole lot of room. All right, so now let's talk about, or let's start thinking about water. Let's start thinking about food, things along those lines. You'll notice with my videos, I'm never going to tell you what's the best or what item you should use. I believe everybody should have choices. Everybody needs to make up their own mind. So something that I've been definitely playing with a lot here lately is packing a little bit, putting a little bit less in my kit as far as what I cook in. And it's also going to depend if I have my family or something along those lines with me. But something I've been using here, it's just a smaller pot. Doesn't matter who you get it from. If it's titanium, stainless steel, it's all up to you. Something along those lines here. And is what I'll do is this Jetboil, I'll put that right in there. Because remember, I do not pack thinking or assuming I'm going to have fire. And here's the Jetboil that I use. Not extremely small, gets the job done. I got another one on my list, and my lighter literally just fell out of there as I was showing you guys. So I'll have that. Need something to clean your stuff with, right? Little metal scrubber, some Dawn dish soap. That on there, that in there. Use this longer titanium spoon. There you go. That's a pretty easy little cook kit. Now something that I'm going to add to that is this Milbanks bag right here. I've actually grown quite fond of this little bag. But what I'm going to do is I'll put some water in here. Put my cook kit in first. spoon. Now, is this extremely lightweight? Nope. Can it be lighter? Yep. Again, I'm the one that's carrying it. Okay, I've got a way to cook my food and everything else. I've also got a way to purify water with that little stove if I needed to, and you know, if I needed to. But I always carry my Sawyer water filter with me. And during the colder months, I always keep it packed up in a couple wool socks to keep it insulated. There's no evidence to suggest that these things do not work after they froze, but there's no evidence to suggest that they're safe to use after they froze neither. So I'm going to do my best to keep this thing from not freezing. The reason you heard me mention that I love my Millbakes bag. The reason I love that bag is when you try to collect water out of one of these, it's a real pain in the ass. Anybody that's ever used one knows that it's a pain in the butt to collect water from one of these. That Millbakes bag allows me to scoop water up, set it up, and then I can actually just run the water. It's actually a pre-filtering my water. It's not going to stop pathogens, folks. It's not going to stop everything, but it's going to pre-filter a lot of the turbidity and into this bag. So then I can just hook my filter up. Now I no longer am going to be carrying a syringe or anything like that, because I learned another really cool trick from my buddy Travis, is these smart water bottles, and I think that he did a video on this as well. But these smart water bottles, if you buy the ones that come with this little cap, you can actually, it fits perfectly with your water or your Sawyer filter. Now, before I was so rudely interrupted by my damn camera running out of batteries, is what I was trying to show you guys is these smart water bottles hook right up to one of these. Put that on there just like that. Give it a squeeze, and man, I tell you what, it's like a magical feeling going off. Not having to use that syringe. Beautiful stuff. Now, how you pack your water, or if you pack water, is completely up to you. It's one of those things where you need to do your research, figure out where you're going, how much of a water source is there. You know, there's been plenty of times, this last camping trip, I didn't pack enough water, and it would have been a pain in the ass to go down and filter, but we were able to share water and, you know, minimize how much we used and everything, so it worked out. But you should probably pack water. That's something that you're going to learn, that you just never know when you're going to be able to filter water or find a water source to filter. So let's try not to get ourselves into trouble. But how you pack it, whether you want to put multiple, you know, things of smart water bottles with you, if you want to use a hydration bladder or something along those lines, you can do that. You can even be completely idiotic and use one of these big giant flasks. This thing is 64 ounces of water. That holds double what one of these hold. 64 ounces of water is no joke. Now, I'm only half joking when I say, you know, when I point out one of these flasks. You can put this back here and it's going to take up a lot of minimal room. So what's the difference between this and a bladder? Well, you're limited on what you can do with a bladder. In a pinch, you could boil water in one of these. I'm not going to suggest you do it all the time because it's just not going to hold up. I mean, it's going to bust at the seams and everything else. But in a pinch, it could be used. And these are not really that heavy. The one thing I would suggest, though, if you use it, these most of the time they have a very small drip. The last thing I want to do is any of my contents getting wet. So if I was to choose to use something like this, rest assured I'm going to be putting it in a small dry bag before I put it down in there. Now, is this something that you want to use? Guys, it's up to you. Now, there's going to be multiple miscellaneous items that you're going to want to put in this bag. But look at how much room is in this thing without this all being compressed. Because like I said, I can press all this down and make room for a ton of crap if I really wanted to. But I don't want to. Aside from miscellaneous things like headlamps and toilet paper and you know, food and things like that, that's basically all you really need. You know, it's very simple. We don't need a lot of crap. We really don't. And the less crap you pack, you know, you're going to be more organized, and you're just going to rely on a lot less stuff. Something that I suggest is, after every trip, make a mental note of what you didn't use, and then think to yourself, do I really need that item? Chances are you don't. Now, the number one item I am going to put at the top of my bag is snacks and something to keep me dry. So whatever your outer shell is, whether it be a synthetic jacket or a wool jacket, Gore-Tex, or whatever it is, I do suggest that you put it up towards the top, because you just never know when rain's going to come in or something along those lines. And you're going to have to be thinking about staying warm. So we're going to stuff that in there, and obviously you can still see that we've got plenty of room. By keeping your sleeping bag and other down jackets out of their compression bags, is what that's going to do is it's going to fluff out and fill up voids and crevices and everything else. Trust me, it takes up way less room. Love it. Ever since I started doing it, fell in love with it. Okay, so now we still are left with this big, giant, bulky looking bag that's going to carry rather awkward on our back. And let me show you why. Alright, so now I've got this bag on, but look at how far it sticks out from my back. What is that going to do? That is going to weigh you back like this. That's whenever everything becomes uncomfortable and everything else. How you have this thing strapped up against you is going to radically increase your comfort level. Most of the time, bags that are meant to haul a large amount of gear or are designed to go on long adventures like the MOLLE 2 have compression straps, guys. A lot of people think that these buckles and everything else are here simply to put sleeping pads and everything else in. It's not the case, though. These things are what is going to make your life a lot easier. So what I do is I actually just get right on the bag and I put all my weight down on these, and I'm going to compress this bag down. Lost one of my straps, I had to replace it with this one, so that's why it's a black one. But I'm just going to go through and do that. That's all we're going to do right now. Press those side straps. So now my side straps are down, and you can see how it's already just sucked it all the way up to my spine. But we still have more compression. We still have this compression back here at the back that we need to deal with. Oh, but like I said, I am going to start using this. So my bottom isn't going to be as compressed as what it normally would. but it's not going to affect much. I guarantee it's just not. Now it's just a matter of trying to figure out how to put this on here just right. We'll play around with this. We'll figure it out what's going to work the best. But anyway, if that was not on there, you want to compress this as much as possible also. So what I'll do is I'll just get up here to the front, put my knee in it, and cinch it down, just like so. I don't get overly aggressive with my lid straps, just haven't really found it necessary. So now we're left with a pack that is definitely a lot smaller. Go ahead and clean up your straps, tuck them away. I have a bad habit of not doing this, and it drives me nuts when I see myself not doing it. It's just one of those things. Anyway. Now, something that I've showed in past videos, and this is very important, y'all. Little things like this is going to keep you from getting injured. When you have bigger, larger backpacks like this doesn't weigh hardly anything. I bet you this thing maybe weighs 30 pounds, and that's with water in it and food, maybe 35, I don't know. Somewhere around there. I don't weigh my packs. See, that's the thing. A lot of people get, they get radical about it. I haven't yet, but I'm not going on 25-mile hikes. When that starts happening, of course, I'm going to be a little bit more leery about what I put in it and how much weight. But a larger pack like this, spin it around, okay? The front's facing you now. A lot of packs will have handles right here. You're going to grab your frame like this, and you're going to throw your bag over the top of you like that. It's very simple. You don't have to yank it up with one arm and try to risk pulling your back out of whack and everything else. Very simple. Again, face your bag to you. Grab your frame, pick it up, throw it right over the top of you, just like that. Very simple. Now you can see what a difference just the compression straps made. So now let's continue to make this a little bit more comfortable for ourselves. You'll notice all these straps and everything else. Well, first thing you're going to want to do is just lean over a little bit, because we want all of this weight to sit on our hips. That's what the hip belt's for. So we're going to take that and we're going to cinch it down. Cinch it down good, folks. Don't be afraid. Cut into that fat, that belly fat. That's what it's there for. You got a chest strap. It's not necessarily one of those things where you'll wham it down or anything like that. Leave it a little bit loose. In fact, a lot of them have a spring here. You want to be able to move your arms freely, you know? You don't want that really, truly cinched down. Your load-bearing straps up here, if you loosen this, watch. When these are loose, you'll notice that my pack starts to pull away from my body. And that, you don't want this. You don't want to lean back. So your load-bearing straps, get them good and tight. Get that load right up on there. Now, these straps here, underneath your armpits, suck them down. If you have these straps to where all your weight is on your hips, you've got them snug here, you've got the load bearing, you got your center strap on, you have your compression straps weighed down. I shit you not. Like I said, about 35 pounds probably in this pack right now. It feels pretty light. Well guys, I'm Justin Wolf from Wolf Customs, and I hope this has helped you a little bit. Again, you're going to be the one that has to select all of this stuff. I can't do that for you. I cannot tell you what you need to bring in your bag, because what a boring world it would be if everybody thought the exact same and everybody packed the exact same way with the exact same items. What a boring world that would be. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, have a good one.